Okay, today, before we get going any further, I would like to review with you Punnett squares for non-Mendelian traits. I want to do this because you will be having a quiz on your last e-learning day, and you will have to be doing a few of these Punnett squares on that. So let's just get started here with incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance occurs when the dominant allele does not completely hide or mask the recessive allele. You're still dealing with dominant and recessive alleles. In this case, the dominant allele is red, the recessive allele is white. So we just do big R, little r. From there, we have to look for the genotypes of our first two parents, our P1 generation. It says the first one is pink. Pink is a blending of red and white. So we know if it is pink, it should have a heterozygous genotype. The second flower is white. White is the recessive phenotype. Okay, the only way to have recessive phenotype is to be homozygous recessive. So we know the two parents, big R, little r, little r, little r. Set up your Punnett square. We separate the alleles of the first flower across the top. That is the law of segregation. We do the same thing for the second parent along the left-hand side. Okay, and then we have the alleles come together. Okay, we fill those into the box, and we see that there are two possible genotypes in our Punnett square. So now we just look at the colors, the red, the white, and the pink. We look into our Punnett square. The two that are big R, little r, obviously are going to be pink because of the dominant and recessive allele together and incomplete dominance. And then we have two that have little r's, and those are going to show the recessive trait, which in this case happens to be white. So we can figure out our percentages, 0, 50, and 50. Now let's move on. Codominance. Codominance means that the two alleles in the pair are both dominant alleles and both wish to be expressed. Okay. Now, because of that, we have to use two different capital letters. In this case, we're dealing with dark coat color and white coat color. So a big D for dark, a big W for white. Now, identify the parents. We have a dark coated horse and a white coated horse. Okay, the only way to be dark because of codominance is to have two big D's. The only way to be white is to have two big W's. So now we know the genotypes of the two parents. Set up your Punnett square. Again, we follow the principle of segregation. We place the first horse across the top, the second horse across the left-hand side, and we fill in our boxes. Now let's look at our three possible coat colors. We can have a horse with a dark coat, a horse white coat, or possibly a roan coat. Roan is the result of the codominance. The dark and white coat both being expressed. Usually this means we get some type of spotted coat. Okay, if we look back to our Punnett square, we notice that every single offspring, the only possibility is a big W, big D, big W genotype, meaning that the only thing that is possible in this particular cross is the roan coat. Okay, just remember when doing codominance, we're going to deal with two different capital letters. And finally, we have multiple alleles. The example I gave you was blood type, because there is a gene for A gene for B, and a gene for O. Again, multiple alleles means that there is three or more possible types of alleles. Again, we're dealing with gene pairs. There's just more than two different alleles possible. So, again, there are three different alleles. So there's an allele for A blood, an allele for B blood, and those happen to be codominant. So we're dealing with codominance. And then type O blood, which is recessive. So we give that a little I. So we are dealing with codominance and complete dominance at the same time. Okay, we look at the two parents. It says the man is heterozygous for type B blood. Heterozygous means you have one dominant allele and one recessive allele. Okay, so that takes care of him. Says the woman is homozygous for type A blood. Homozygous means you have the same two alleles and she is type A. So since the man is heterozygous for type B, he has a B allele. Heterozygous means he also has a recessive allele. So his genotype is IB little I. The woman is homozygous for type A, so both of her alleles have to be the allele for A blood. We set up her Punnett square. We place the man across the top. Law of segregation separates the two alleles. We do the same for the woman on the left-hand side. Now it's just simply a matter of putting these alleles together inside the boxes for the possible genotypes. You see that two of them come out with an IA, IB, and two of them come out with IA little I. So what does that mean? Again, we have four possible phenotypes because of the multiple alleles. We have type A, type B, type AB, and that's made possible again because of codominance, and type O, made possible because of complete dominance. Okay, if we look at these, we see the two with the IA, IB, that is the codominance. And then we see that we have an IA little I, that is complete dominance. So we figure out we have a 50% chance of getting a type A child and a 50% chance of getting an AB child. Type B and type O would not be possible for these parents. Okay, so again, I just wanted to review with you. Now you're going to be doing a worksheet from the book. I believe this starts on page, I want to say page 319 to 321. So get that done and submit it to me and have a great day. Again, on your next class, you will be having a quiz over all this, so make sure you look everything over as it gets graded.